I want to thank you again for coming and hanging out with me. If you haven't already, be sure to enjoy the content, like, subscribe, all of the things. Welcome back for my folks that have been around and been chilling with me for a bit. Hey, new people, let's just pop in and want to see what I got going on. It's nice to have you here. I hope that you enjoy. Comment, engage, share your perspective, because there is no such thing that I am correct about what I have to say. But I am going to encourage that you are respectful and that you give perspective that's valuable, that isn't hurtful, that isn't facetious or anything like that. Because again, I want to build a community or a space that allows people to feel like you're not alone in this, and we can find a way out of certain circumstances. You just need to feel like you're not the only person. And that's important. So I'm going to try my best to be responsible for the narrative of my page, right? And of my space. And it includes you guys showing up and showing up with intention to be kind. It's fine if you want to be heard. And we're going to learn to disagree without disrespect. All right. So you're going to hear me go through that a bit. I'll probably do something else on that concept. But we're going to have a conversation about the divorcees, right? We're going to talk about Cardi, Offset, and Selena Powell, but I'm going to sneak in this conversation about Kristy and Desmond, right? One of the things that happens is you ponder the why, even when it don't got nothing to do with you. So I am being 100% speculative. As I said, this is just an opinion. So I always want you to feel comfortable to give your thoughts, respectfully, of course, and make your position heard. I had the idea, and this is me projecting based on my own experiences, right? When he would do stuff like pay for things, I used to watch that, and I was under the impression that he kind of was holding down the fort, that he was the leader of the household. And of course, there were pranks and things like that she would do where it included like billboard signs with his face on it, the many faces of Desmond, right? And I thought that stuff was so funny, and I thought that it was just a byproduct of, her doing well and having the capacity to do these things, and that it was just cool to see it. And that was one of the things I really appreciated about their dynamic, because I was under this impression that he was okay. And in essence, as she grew in her space, he still felt fine and was safe in who he was on that basis. When the infidelity accusations came up and ultimately being the result of the divorce, or resulting in divorce, it made me think if that was curated for the page. And I started to wonder if her capacity to be self-sufficient started to hinder or become problematic in their dynamic. And so the reason that I say that is because I've been through that myself, right? So short version of it is I was dealing with a dude a while ago. This was mad long ago. And when he met me, it was young blood figuring life out and so on. But in the process of knowing me, I had become this version of person that is closer to the adult that you see today, but not quite there. Like I had a long ways to go, but I was getting it, right? And under the circumstances in which we met, we had these opposing sorts of presentations, right? As a matter of fact, this was a conversation that I had about Cardi and Stefan, where it's like, be mindful of being the same person, but just showing up on different ends of the spectrum. And essentially, how we both dealt with our feelings of ostracization and I want to say low self-esteem was that I pursued perfection and he rebelled with the I don't care. And what happened was that in our pursuit to solidify ourselves or to maintain our esteem, we would hurt each other circumstantially, right? So the reason that he would start to present with this I don't care kind of behavior, or he would show how special he was in all these other places, i.e. smashing mad chicks, gotta be honest, right? He would do that because he didn't manage being an adult well. It's just a reality. And me on the other side of that, it was kind of like, dudes would nag, like, what do you bring to the table and all this other stuff. So my pursuit had always been to be a person that had something to bring to the table. Isn't that funny? And the fear or the realization that negging can result in someone successfully meeting your expectation, I don't think that a lot of dudes are prepared to handle that. So in essence, there's a time that we was having a conversation, I'm driving my car. when met him somewhere or something like that, right? And I was like in a really good mood because I was coming from somewhere, and I was like, yo, I want to do these things. I might have even been talking about doing content and all that other stuff. Finishing school, feeling really good about that, just dreaming, right? Because this is a part of how I felt like I needed to build myself up. Quality, character, right? Grit. And I remember him sitting in the seat, the passenger seat, and saying, you the most need to get shit done bitch that I know. Something like that. And it wasn't a compliment. There was tone and frustration in his voice. And there was a side eye. And I was like, yo, what the hell? And I'm like, yo, what that mean? Like, what do you... He was like, yo, you got so much going on. And he was like, yo, you still want to do more. He was upset about it. He was upset about it. Needless to say that wasn't a dynamic that went, that went where I felt like it should have gone. Because I never felt like my success was supposed to make him feel bad. I always took it as my success would inspire. It took me a very long time to realize that there is a spectrum in what was going on. So it's in essence, every time I did more things and I got a bit better, accomplished a new thing, attained a new thing, that meant that he was going to go and smash somebody else. Because when he began to feel less than, that was what he did. He sat around women and he wanted women to desire him. My success tipped down his desirability in his own mind, right? Because that wasn't my thing. I am not the, oh, you ain't shit type of, like, that's not my thing. I don't really like that. So when this came up with Kristy and Desmond, this is what I thought of. And I was like, I wonder if it was that type of situation. Because I'm like, yeah, she was doing all of these interviews and whatnot. She's cool with her. I'm like, this is a big deal. And eventually I stumbled across his page. I don't know if he always had a page and I didn't see it, or if he made the page later because he realized there was something to gain. There was momentum to be, gained in that space. And he sees the opportunity. But I say all of that to say, maybe it was a problem. Because I know in my experience, it has worked adversely for me. And it's not a matter of intentionally making them feel bad. It's about bringing stuff to the table. But inside of that, we have to transition into this conversation about Cardi, Offset, and Selena. Now, I'm going to be candid and straightforward in this space. I am under the impression, because one of the things that I couldn't get behind is like, I can't believe Offset is telling her all of this stuff. But then as I listened to what she was saying, I was like, oh, this is his version of like love bombing. His version of love bombing includes trauma.
Cardi has a restraining order on Offset. So he doesn't allow to talk to the babies at all. He's been FaceTiming Culture through his other daughter this whole time and talking to Culture or whatever. And I guess Culture's been saying like, she hasn't even met Stefan. So that's probably why like she thinks like how the fuck is this baby? And I don't talk to my dad. Like, how did you just have a baby, Yeah. And she's like knowing that that's not her brother. But that's what he was telling me. And then he was just going on and on about like his whole life story and that he had only $13 million in his bank account. And
so where the fuck is my 15?
He had no. It gets worse. He said that he had $13 million in his bank account. But P from whatever label was like
ABCDFG or whatever.
Yeah, with his
QP4C.
I don't know. Whatever who the fuck QP is. He was like keeping him in the deal and like basically like robbing him for like a lot of his money.
Well, you knew that when he signed.
Yeah, so to get out of his deal, he was like, I tried his ego. I was like, if you got all this money and you so rich, why the fuck you want me for? And so he was like, okay, bet. Like, give me $10 million. Give me $10 million and you're out of this deal. So he paid the $10 million. Mm-hmm. Then Cardi hit him with the divorce. Then
that he has to put her on child support for.
And and then he has $2 million owed in taxes, and that the IRS has been like trying to get his shit, and that he's about to file for bankruptcy.
See, and
so that's that's basically what he's saying. Like, and that he's been trying to gamble to like get all this money back, but he keeps fucking losing.
And this is something that you can see inside of, again, these cluster B personality types, because it's a manipulation tactic. And this is how come he owes her $15,000, because he very much gave her the story of, having $13 million $10 million to buy out his contract with somebody else. The IRS is looking for $2-3 million. And he's using all of these conversations that is relatively public knowledge, but he's morphing a dialogue that makes him the victim. Whew. And then it started to dawn on me. I said, yeah, he had Cardi in a hamster wheel, where she's like, I'm running as fast as I can, but I'm not going anywhere, because that motherfucker is bad. That one in particular is bad. And that's what came to mind. And I'm like, you know what? This is how come he doesn't have anybody in his life that's speaking to him now. It made so much more sense. And I'm like, this is why Quavo don't deal with him. I'm like, when he was like on my mama, and I was like,
what?
Okay.
Think shit sweet. Don't think it's sweet. Shit ain't sweet, mama. On my mama, it ain't. My mama, you think you seen something every time? Why did?
Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where his mom is so worried about him being a black man that is mistreated that she's enabled a lot of BS. It is very difficult to manage the harshness of the world against black men and the accountability that's required for them to be sufficient and respectable adults. Because there is this reality that empathy can yield entitlement. People can start to feel entitled to your empathy and your kindness. And where you see the emergence of entitlement, you better believe that there is going to be cognitive dissonance, because something happens where they stop being executively functional, responsible, intellectually capacitated adults. And when I say intellectually, this is not to suggest by any means that he is a fool, but I mean that he has the capacity to look at something, assess patterns and things like that, and make appropriate decisions that properly impact not only his life, but the people that he is responsible for, i.e., all them kids. This is particularly disheartening, because he is a person, because I think that there was somebody else that said that he owed him,
Offset broke. Nigga, fuck. Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all the stream too. That nigga broke. That nigga pop. I'll tell y'all a true story. Nigga, I ain't got nothing to do with that shit nigga in the casino. He was pop. He was panicking. Nigga, he was asking random people for cash apps. He was broke. I don't know what happened. Nobody was answering his phone call. He popped, trying to run up, chasing. Must got a gambling addiction. And the nigga says, yo, he just popped. He calling niggas for cash apps in front of me. I ain't gonna lie to you. The first 5 I offered, I'm like, yo, you pop. You waiting for some bread? He like, I waiting for my money. I swung that nigga 5. You know how I get. He gets popped. Not us two dicing each other. He gets popped straight to the casino. Goes not. He get another loan from somebody else for like 2 bands. I don't even take my loan. I'm like, that's offset. I'm good on my money. I'm worried about this nigga. I got mad bread. I definitely run off a nigga on 5 bands.
From gambling. And I'm like, there's nothing worse than the sort of people that create Ponzi schemes based on their reputation.
Like from the watch?
$1 million. That's what they cost.
Kind of like that Danish deception shorty that was talking before. As a matter of fact, I might do something on that one too, because I was supposed to. But he uses the fact that I'm offset. I'm amigos. I got money. Of course I'm not broke. You don't see these chains. You don't see this. You don't see that. So that you can tell people that you have capacity, and people don't think it's nothing wrong. They like, yeah, nah, for sure. Like, he could give me back 15 G's. And it's so tough, because if you are dealing with people, with all due respect, if you are dealing with somebody that can put their hands on multi-million-dollar jewelry, cribs, and cars, if they do not have a couple of tens of thousands that they can liquid, like liquid, put their hands on, touch, don't give them no money. Because there is a difference between having assets and having capital. Stop playing with people. Stop playing with people. People be living their best, flashiest, fullest, fake-ass credit card life. And it made me think about when he was having that conversation with Uncle Shannon, and was talking about, I know Uncle Shannon is crazy, but we can get back to that too. He was talking on Shay Shay's podcast, and he's talking about the fact that, like, yeah, now when you got the record label, you could do this, you could do that, you could. And I remember listening to him and saying, like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm like, I don't know.
You to get the billion stream for it to hit your pocket, you need to own the publisher, the catalog, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, but it's two things with that. See, I don't want to talk too political. All right, for instance, like some folks that just be hard headed, you got to get with them folks a little bit because they're still a machine. Like the label is still a machine.
For sure.
I never tell nobody to be just straight independent. Even though people say it all the time, but it's like you already gotta have some money put to the side before you just say, I'm gonna be an independent artist straightforward. I'd rather be with a machine because it's a partnership and I sell music and my music sells.
Right.
Only to find out that he's gambling and so on, and I'm like, yeah. And not for nothing, hindsight is always 20/20, and I'm speculating. There was a time where Cardi was entertaining the idea, like, nah, y'all be talking crazy about the 50-50 and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I don't go 50-50, but it's like, all right. So if you and your man make the same amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. But only your man is the one that paying all the bills. How y'all ever gonna save up to, like, buy a house or buy a business? Because he's never gonna be able to afford to. So it's like, certain things is like a joint thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a work together. But I just be feeling like sometimes people, like the internet really be having people up from like real reality.
And I'm like, sis, it's because you solid. But baby girl, that man was exploiting. And I know that she knows that now. That man was exploiting her. And now he's in full crash out mode, having conversations about what she gonna do to his nigga. With her nigga.
He told me that he was gonna when he sees Stefan, he's gonna shoot him in his knee and strip him and rob him.
If I catch Buddy and I can catch him, it's gonna be bad. So I think she on some beat, strip, shot in the knee, all type of shit. See, I wasn't on his
shot
ass.
In the knee.
Crackhead. Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed, but at the same time, not surprised. Because now it's attached to the lifestyle. And again, going back to these cluster B personality types that tend to be erratic, that tend to be dramatic, that's novelty seeking, right? Like him running around, sleeping with all these people, like pillow talking with Selena Powell. And let me say this too. I am under the impression that the conversation that he's had with her was on purpose to be a part of the smear campaign against Cardi and Stefan. Because biological parents have rights to their children. Biological parents have to forfeit their rights to their children. They have to give them up. So all of that conversation about being married and all that other stuff. So now I'm like, oh, so you are the person that's behind all of these little rumors that pop up and the foolishness that gets spread around. And so in essence, Selena Powell was a lick for me. Like me watching him and like just from recalling like conversations with niggas in the hood, I'm like, yeah, nah. To me, I feel like that was a lick, and he did all of that stuff with the intention to be messy around the lives of Stefan and Cardi. Because also notice that Selena Powell very much mentioned that Stefan and Cardi is not good. Like, they not in a good place.
It was only there for a few hours because when they were signing the birth certificate, the nurse told her, like, yeah, because you're legally married, it has to be Offset's name or your name. And so he got mad, like last name. Mm-hmm. And he got mad and abandoned her for like 3 days. That they're not even good, yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Notice that didn't get missed. Notice all of that comment. Oh yeah, now if I get my hands on such and such, and if I could, and I blah. Yeah, like that wasn't lost upon me. Like I believe with my whole chest that he did that on purpose because he wants to plant the seeds of chaos, and he does it from a place of I'm gonna make a mess without being attached to it. This is the type of stuff that you see in borderline personality disorder and complex PTSD. I'm also going to make the argument that I believe that a real big part of him and Cardi staying together for so long was the use of guilt and shame. Oh, you gonna turn your back on me like all these other people? Like, so when, God rest his soul, right? When Take was and Quavo stepped away, that was the first traumatic event that he could use against her. Then Take passed away. That was another traumatic event he could use against her. The record label was saying he not doing what he needed to do. That was another traumatic event that he could. So that re-victimization cycle that you tend to see, and again, we watch it, and I mean this with all due respect, right? Nicki Minaj, whenever she come out and she have a conversation, that's what she does. She's going to talk about people mistreating her, and it evokes sympathy, empathy, and gets people to go on the defense to protect them from their mess. And more often than not, you miss the malice. This is how come people that have narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, borderline, and there's another one, I think it's histrionic. I think that's how you say it. I'm gonna put the name of it in here. That's why those personality types are particularly problematic, because the capacity to manipulate, it's not different than what you would see in people with substance abuse issues. And typically you'll see substance use associated with those types of people. Hence, he do his syrup and all that other stuff based on his music and that sort of thing. I can't say that for a fact, right? All of the stuff that he got going on, he doesn't know how to manage being an adult more than he understands or prioritizes managing his perception of manhood. This one is a really, really tough one to watch. And to see it play out in this way, I actually really do feel for Cardi. I am not here to suggest that she is a perfect person and is without error. I am here to say that she is very much in an abusive dynamic, and this is how come he won't, like, the divorce is not finalized. He's definitely running around and using his reputation to catch a lick. And this is very, very textbook cluster B personality disorder types. I gotta call a spade a spade. This is not a person that, even down to Cardi saying that he would hurt himself. That's something that, again, people with borderline personality disorder tend to do, where they'll fake suicidal ideations, which I think is really crazy, but it's a manipulation tactic that they're willing to take. And what's crazy is that with everything that's going on, if Cardi was to walk away from Stefan, Seth would take her back, because it's more profitable for him to be with her. And that is really concerning. That is really, really concerning. So I think that it's important for us to practice discernment and really recognize when people are doing things from a performative space versus they are doing things from a space of genuity and personal interest. I think that that's an important conversation. Maybe I'll save that for another clip. But in the meantime, I appreciate y'all so much for showing up. And, tell me what you think. How do you feel about what's unpacked with Kristy and Desmond, this Cardi and Offset thing? I think that this is a rocky start, bro. 2026 is coming in hot, but you make sure that you stay strong. And more importantly, make sure that you like and share the video. And I hope to see you on the next one.